When does that I can't voice show up for you? That internal battle that appears in our mind when we're maybe even before we've started something, halfway through, say a workout or a piece of work we need to do, or right at the end when you can see that finish line and it's at its strongest, with things like offering those ways out of, I'll pick this back up tomorrow, or, you know, that's enough for now, I'll just stop. So when it becomes really, really strong at various different tasks, I'd love to hear from you when this appears for you, because this area, this battle, is something that has intrigued me for years. Part of me kind of enjoys seeing what comes up, the excuses and, you know, all the justifications of dropping out, and it makes me really begin observing myself. So I'm kind of curious when it arises, but I'm also fascinated about how different I feel afterwards. So I stick with the thing. Afterwards I definitely notably feel different. So I feel more confident, more capable, and there's actually some fascinating neuroscience that explains why this happens, which I'll really looking forward to getting into in a little while in this video. So I tried to think back to when I first really got intrigued by this point, and I think it's probably about over a decade ago, doing a Vipassana meditation retreat. If anybody doesn't know, it's like 10 days silent meditation. You're meditating pretty much all day, and you're taught in that to observe the physical sensations and not just give in to like the urges, say. And when I remember sitting there in discomfort because my body wasn't used to sitting meditating for so many hours, that I can't voice was so strong, and it would give me a way out. I could see where the door was, and it was on repeat, especially day 3. For those that have done this, they know that day 3 can be one of the hardest, and it was at its strongest, going, just walk through the door. That's your way out. There's no more discomfort. All you need to do is up and leave. And that was on repeat. That prompting of I can't do this and here's your way out, really, really prominent. I know I didn't give in. I stuck it out to the end, and something really interesting happened. I had those sensations of I felt different. I also felt a sense of spaciousness between the urge and the I can't voice and the need to act upon it. So there became a bit more of a gap and a space to observe it and not act upon it. And just overall, I felt different. And what I didn't realise at the time is there's a part of the brain that's really involved in moments like that. So I was experiencing this in real time, unawares at that moment. It's called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, or the AMCC for short. Some researchers describe this region as a structural and functional hub of the brain. In other words, it sits at the intersection of multiple systems involved in attention, reward, emotion, and movement when we pursue a goal. Now, one proposal from this research is that the AMCC helps estimate the energy required to pursue a goal. So when we're deciding whether to continue something difficult, the brain is effectively asking, is the effort required here worth it? The brain doesn't make this decision from scratch each and every time. It's relying on predictive patterning. We are operating in our predictive patterning code, but this isn't fixed. This is based upon our past experiences, which is entirely individual, and upgrades, up levels through our various exposure to new experiences. So our previous experiences are informing this calculation in a way that's being made with it by the AMCC on whether or not this is a difficulty we can manage and whether or not we'll be successful. So when that I can't voice appears, oftentimes what we're actually hearing is prediction, this calculation that's happening, a prediction about effort, a prediction about capacity. But these predictions aren't fixed, they update and change through exposure. That means each time we do something difficult and we prove to the brain, oh, we can do this, it updates about what it believes we're capable of. And I really feel like I've seen evidence of this in my own life. Things like I went from having walking targets to so many steps a day to running a bit, from running a bit to wanting to do a half marathon. Now I'm signing up for a full. So that part of my brain is updated about capabilities there. Doing Stairmaster evolved into doing a few hikes, into doing mountain challenges. I've got another one planned in a couple of months. So I'm doing activities and things that Mary 10 years ago wouldn't have even, well, I wouldn't have seen it for myself. I think it's great, but I wouldn't have thought that's what I would have ended up doing, that past version of myself. And I think that's the thing. I feel very different to that version. I do feel different. I do feel more capable. I keep proving to myself or updating the AMCC part of my brain that I can do this. And then we seek more expansion, more challenges. And it's not just in like physical areas of my life, it's all areas of my life. It sort of kind of ripples out when we begin to work with or understand how this part of the brain works and keep proving to ourselves and up leveling, because we're informing our predictive patterning, which widens our perception overall. We actually see more opportunities that we maybe wouldn't have even noticed or considered before. But there is an important caveat or nuance here that I do want to bring in. I do believe that we need to look at capacity. We can't just increase capacity through just challenge, although that's working in that part of the brain, in order for all of the up leveling and all that integration to take place that informs our predictive patterning. We do need to allow, like we would if we were exercising any other part of the body, recovery, integration. Because if we don't, we can head towards things like, shutdown, burnout, and we don't want to go there. So it is allowing space for recovery, for adaptation to actually take place. It's also a very important part of this process. So I didn't want to just ignore that. So I'm not saying that I can't voice is something we should just blindly ignore, but it's oftentimes something that we can take as a signal, perhaps feedback of this area of the brain expanding rather than an instruction to act upon, and learning to recognise when that voice is protection versus when it's simply the edge of growth can open up far more of life than we might expect. So yeah, it's been wonderful chatting with you. Do let me know when the I can't show up for you. I'd love to hear from you because it still crops up for me. So yeah, let's have a chat about it. And if you've enjoyed this conversation, stick around, maybe subscribe, hit a like for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.